the way, I'm gonna pull a Jack Kavanaugh and take the number one pick
Take the
this time.
101. Let's get into
And
it.
I'm taking Ashton Jeanty because
Absolutely.
this guy, even in Superflex, again, this is a Superflex, no tight end premium, just Superflex rookie mock draft. Ashton Jeanty does things that shouldn't be possible, plays that should be negative plays for his team. He turns into touchdowns like multiple times on film. Again, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's good in pass protection. Is he a perfect? Nobody's a perfect player, but it was hard to find negative plays on tape when I watched the two full games. I watched the game against Oregon and the game against Washington State, and I have two more games to watch of him, and I'll put another part 2 on the YouTube channel as well. But to me, this isn't even close. Again, no disrespect to Tet McMillan or whoever your quarterback one is. I don't want to give that away right now, but to me, it's Ashton Jeanty, and to me, it's not particularly close. I think it's a pretty much a no-brainer pick at this point. What say you, Mr. Babich? And then we can transition into your 102.
Yeah, so I believe I even said it when I had the 101 on the last mock that Jeanty was my 101 in Superflex, tight end premium, whatever confangled rules and scoring settings you have, Ashton Jeanty is the 101. And it's simply just because we look at, there's a few things we have to look at here. First of all, let's take a look at the RB market right now. It's never been more alive. Running backs, especially the type of Ashton Jeanty, these true bell cow backs. Look at what Saquon Barkley has done for the Eagles offense and how that's all opened up. Look at what Derrick Henry is doing for the Baltimore Ravens offense and what they're able to do. That 3rd and 1 where Henry was basically trapped in open field and he still just put his hand out. How are you going to stop that in crunch time? The running back position has never been more valuable. And for guys like Ashton Jeanty, this may not even be a Breece Hall player. Like we may even be talking about an echelon above potentially the most touted running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. We don't have to overthink it. This kid is incredible running against 9-man boxes. And then the quarterback position, we've talked about, the receiver bubble. What about the quarterbacks? Like that seems like a big bubble to me because if we go through, let's start going through these draft classes and go backwards and just list off of all the quarterbacks that are either fantasy relevant right now, have been, or we expect to be in the future. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. That is just from the last draft class. C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson we'll throw in there. 2022 was a bust. Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy was actually in 2022, so we can put him back in there. We're at 10 right now. Go to 2020, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray. Like we can, and these guys are all young and at non-apex points in their careers. So we cannot just keep continuing to add quarterbacks into this pipeline and expect every quarterback or every QB1 to be the 101, let alone a top 3 pick in this class. And so as the 102, I'm kind of talking myself in between, I'm talking myself into taking Tet McMillan here. And since we don't have situations right now, I'm going to pretend Tet McMillan goes to a really damn good spot. Tet McMillan, look, if we look at the potential landing spots here, could be, to the Tennessee Titans early on in the draft. Could be the Cleveland Browns, who knows? Maybe they roll Jameis Winston next year as a bridge quarterback while they find something. The Raiders, all of these, the Patriots, even if God willing, if you were to fall to 6, but there's a myriad of positions right now where Tet McMillan can be an alpha in a pass-heavy offense. I don't like Will Levis, but I see what Calvin Ridley's doing in that offense, and I get very enticed by the idea of having Tet McMillan, wide receiver 1 out there getting 12 targets a game from one of these teams, especially if he lands in Cleveland in some sort of rebuild where Jameis Winston continues, because we've seen basically anybody who isn't named Deshaun Watson throw for over 40 pass attempts a game in Kevin Stefanski's offense, and they generally look good doing it. So I'm going to go with Tet McMillan here. You look at the kid from Arizona. I mean, he has an otherworldly athleticism profile. He's huge. He's fast, but that's not all. Like, he's not just winning on yak. He's creating contested catches. He's creating explosive plays. I'm excited to dive more into his film and really start breaking this part down. But from what I've known, he is a pretty talented route runner. So we'll see as we dive more into the film what I think about that aspect of his game. But as of right now, I think this kid's a slam dunk to transition to the next level. So regrettably, and mostly because I know who your QB1 is as of right now, I'm going to take Tet McMillan here at the 102. You're muted.
There were dogs barking, and anyway, like it's a whole thing around here, man. The neighbors. What are you gonna do? But it's gonna be interesting to see what these guys do at the top of the draft, because right now, as we're recording this before Week 13, you have somehow, some way, the Jacksonville Jaguars have the number 1 pick, according to Tankathon, and then it's 2 quarterback needy teams that you would think should be in line for a quarterback, but you never know how teams are going to feel about these quarterbacks, which is a perfect transition into my pick, because we were talking about it beforehand, and we'll talk about it again here. I'm going to bypass the quarterback position and just go for Travis Hunter and just bet on the upside of the talent, because we were talking about it before the show, and we caught some flack in the comments for the last draft. The troll boys came in and said, "Oh, you're wish casting Travis Hunter to be a wide receiver," and maybe that's true. I mean, but he shows athleticism on both sides of the football. And what we were talking about before the show, and maybe this is crazy, but I don't really necessarily think it is. It's really there are so many unknowns when it comes to Travis Hunter about how an NFL team is going to utilize him. And to me, I'm just going to throw the unknowns out the window and bet on the athleticism and what I've seen from him from a fantasy football perspective as a wide receiver. And I think an NFL team is going to utilize him primarily as a wide receiver. Now, will there be times potentially where he might be asked to play corner for an NFL team? I can't believe we're having this conversation, but this is just proves my point of what kind of athlete this guy is, and that's why I'm taking him here at number 3. I'm just going to say, you know what? I think he's going to be a wide receiver. Yes, I don't know for sure. I'm not trying to wish cast him as a wide receiver. Like, don't put words in my mouth like we did with the other mock draft. But I think that's probably where he's going to benefit an NFL team the most. So I'm just going to make a calculated risk here and take Travis Hunter, who I believe is the best player available. So what do you think about? What do you like? Because there's basically he wants to, according to him, he wants to play both ways, which is something we haven't seen since Bo Jackson, unless there's another player out there that I can't. Well, Bo Jackson didn't play both ways. He just played multiple sports. So it's like a Bo Jackson type scenario, though, where we just have this incredible athlete. Like,
We're not.
I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Can you please give credit to Ty Law, for the love of God?
Ty Law.
I brought it up
Okay.
multiple times, and like we keep trying to fetch for like another sport, and it's like no, this has actually happened in the early 2000s. Ty Law did play both ways. Now I'm trying to go back. I don't remember. I don't think he was a full-time player on offense. I was really young back then. Excuse me, but I don't believe even Ty Law was a full-time player on both ends. It is a very tough job to do. You're simply just. That's so much cardio. Like it's super impressive that he can do it at the college level. And I think it makes sense to just kind of take a bet on, where is he going to benefit an NFL team the most? I, for one, it's a coin toss right now between wide receiver 1, between him and Tet McMillan. I think they're both very talented. To be honest, it's probably going to come down to landing spot for me at the end of the day and situation. But with Travis Hunter, we were talking about this backstage. To me, and again, I don't know what's going to happen, but from my perspective, if I was an NFL GM, I would want him as a receiver, and I would want to work him into special defensive packages to where he's not playing. He might be playing 25% of the defensive snaps, right? So, 20 a game, something like that, maybe not even that much. key downs, third down. Because like what more benefit? Think about this: having Travis Hunter on offense, racking up yards. We all know offense is the most important thing right now. You're not competing with the Chiefs if you give them 10 cracks at your defense. You know defense is good enough to stop that. It's all about the offense. That's where he's going to benefit most. But having a guy like Travis Hunter come in and like what Cooper DeJean is doing right now, like not every team has a locked in slot corner. Sometimes you need two guys to be out there manning those positions. And having Travis Hunter to be able to hop on the field and lock a key player down, especially if he can come on and like bracket a Cooper Kupp on a key third down, that's invaluable to a team. So that's kind of how I see it potentially shaking out. The one thing I do know is it would be a waste for him not to be utilized as a receiver. So I am not going to fade him in any aspect until I know for a good chance that he is going to play a majority of the time on defense. On the other side, I guess not on the other side, on the same side of the ball is who I'm going to take with the fourth pick here, quarterback. So we're breaking the mold here. And I'm going to go with Travis Hunter's quarterback because he is my QB1. I'm actually looking at your rankings. I thought Cam Ward was still your QB1. It looks like that has flipped since then. But I really like what I've seen from Shedeur. You look at his college metrics over time, his completion percentage is getting better as he progresses throughout his career. His yards per attempt is getting better as he goes through he plays a lot of hero ball. You got to expect that. He has that mindset, which I think is a good thing. And he also plays on a team that can't really block for him. And they're overall just being carried by Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter at this point in time. So he kind of has to play a lot of hero ball, just like Caleb Williams had to do at USC. I think that stuff can be shaken out. And we've already seen Caleb learn how to settle down and just trust his reads with better coaching. So, and then we've also seen Shedeur being willing to run. Rushing yards is a little hard to track in college, as I do believe they count sacks for negative rushing yards. I don't know if that's still a thing, but you look at his rushing yards and it's kind of all over the map. But you watch him out there. He's an athletic guy. He's going to have a rushing floor. He's a playmaker. And that's another big thing. Quarterbacks this day and age, if they're not giving you a rushing floor, I don't know if I want to spend a top 5 pick on him in a Dynasty Rookie Draft. CJ Stroud looked to be that exception last year, and now this year is the complete opposite. So I want to prioritize that rushing floor. That's a big reason why Shedeur Sanders is my QB1, because of that athleticism. And now I'm rocking a team with Shedeur Sanders and Tet McMillan, and I'm feeling very happy.
Yeah, I agree, and the reason I flipped from Cam Ward as my QB1 to Shedeur Sanders is because of what I've been seeing from him on tape. And Cam Ward is a little bit too loosey-goosey in the pocket for me. I mean, he's a good player. I think he's going to be a fine prospect at the next level. Obviously, he's got to develop and he's got to get the ball out quicker, because he's not going to be able to just stand back there forever, as Caleb Williams is learning at the NFL level. Like, Caleb Williams has done a better job of getting the ball out quicker. And then you're looking at some of these other NFL quarterbacks too, like probably prospects that, well, not probably, but prospects that are better than these prospects coming up in 2025, like the Drake Mays of the world. Bo Nix is playing unbelievably well. You're seeing Jaden Daniels. He might be dealing with an injury, I don't know, but Jaden Daniels over the last few weeks has not been playing as well. So it all catches up to these guys. The NFL humbles you very quickly, and I don't think any of these quarterback prospects are in the same category as even like a Bo Nix, just to throw it out there. But it's valuable to get these quarterbacks because of like, they're going to be first round picks. They're going to get extended time with their team, probably 3 to 4 years, probably more, potentially, if they get extended. So, and like we talked about, it's never too early to go over to Tankathon and see who has these top 5 picks. And we're looking at the Giants and the Raiders, both quarterback needy teams. We have the Titans at 6, and the rumor is that I've been hearing, and I think it's crazy. I don't think it has a snowball's chance in hell of happening. Deion Sanders goes to coach the Cowboys and then drafts Shedeur Sanders. The Cowboys are picking at 11. I don't think Shedeur Sanders falls that far, and I don't know if the Cowboys have much draft capital to trade up to get him. And that it's not that, they're not that great of a team anymore anyway. The offensive line has deteriorated anyway. So again, I say all that to say these quarterbacks are valuable in these super flex leagues, even though I don't believe we have the caliber of prospect that we had last year, which is why I'm going to take Cam Ward. And like I said, I think he's the smoothest, most natural at the quarterback position. He is my quarterback too right now, but sometimes he's just a little bit too comfortable back there in the pocket. Like he's a little bit too smooth, takes a little bit too much time making his decisions. He's definitely going to need some time to adjust the NFL game, but he's a talented player who's produced in college, so I cannot deny that. But he's very clearly, I think, my pick here. So I'll throw it to you to the 106.
For the 106, I promise I literally didn't even look at your rankings before. But now as I'm scrolling through this, I realize that we both love Omarion Hampton out of UNC. And I knew, so just from, admittedly some box score watching, I knew that, his rushing stats were really good. This is now his second season over 1,400 yards. Now, what got me, what I didn't really notice until looking, I was perusing his player profile, and 31 receptions this year for nearly 300 yards, with a couple, 1-2 games left here in the season now to rack up some more stats. So that is another thing that's going to really help him. So we look at his size. He's like 6 foot, 220-ish, so pretty good size there. Hits the weight threshold, and then projected. This is either a projection or from their high school days, but 4.44 per NFL Draft Buzz. So if it's anywhere close to that, that's going to be a 80th percentile plus speed score, which is going to be huge. And then if you're going to add in, I don't know what his target share is going to be, but even if it's a 45th percentile plus target share for his rushing profile, that's really solid. And clearly, there are some hands there. Like he's trusted to handle 31 receptions for nearly 300 yards. So he's an incredible back, kind of an underrated back, probably a guy that, once the combine season rolls around and the end of college football happens, is going to be a name that gets talked about a lot more. And as I'm looking down the list, I'm not going to lie, tape is going to change a lot of this. I'm going to start finding people I really have conviction on at tape, but 6 after Hampton is where we start losing me a little bit with this class. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think Hampton was the clear pick for you there, as he would have been for me too, because you can't deny the back-to-back years of production of over 1,400 rushing yards and 14 plus touchdowns. He has 14 touchdowns so far this year, 15 total touchdowns if you include the receiving work. And again, close to 30 receptions in back-to-back years, 29 last year, 34 this year. So the production's off the charts. And like I said, and again, he's big, he's fast, he's physical. I mean, to me, he's not Ashton Jeanty from a talent perspective, but if you're in the middle of the first round in one of these super flex leagues and you leave with Omarion Hampton, I don't think you're going to be disappointed.